All right, so adding to what Roberta just said, Vera, and you can comment on that. How does a leader get everybody's buy-in, get everybody's interaction, as you said before, because it is so important that everybody is involved in the customer experience?
And so, well, the good news is that employees want to offer a great experience. And so I've read countless engagement surveys, and they're consistent in that employees will say, why can't we be better at customer experience? And so what's holding them back is that they either don't know what the experience should be, or leadership is not empowering them or not supporting them. And so if you want your teams to really be engaged, the first thing to do is to educate them. What should that experience be? What is that brand promise, and where do they fit into that customer journey? And then give them the tools that they need in order to execute. And that could be a 360-degree view of the customer, or it could be having access to a knowledge base that gives them answers to frequently asked questions, so you're giving a consistent answer every time. And then, of course, thirdly, like I said, they need to be trusted and empowered by their leadership.
And do you find, just to both of you, do you find that employees you say they're willing to do it, so it becomes natural, or doesn't become another job to do, does it? Vera, I'll start with you.
So they want to do it because they want to be proud of the company that they're working for. And so they want to work for a company that cares about its customers. They don't like to have, to have poor reviews online. They don't like to listen to customer complaints. They want to be affiliated with a winning brand. And so what keeps them from doing that is that they may not have the tools in order to fulfill the customer's needs or the empowerment. And so they get frustrated, and then what happens is you get a downward spiral. They get unhappy, frustrated, and then the customer feels that, and then the customer gets more unhappy, et cetera. And so that's why it's so critical in order to, give them the support and the tools that they need.
So on that, Roberta, you can answer that too, but one thing I found interesting that Vera said is that I've been looking for a number of years now is people finally, again, being proud of where they worked.
Oh, absolutely. One of the most wonderful ways that I love watching the world sort of get it is if you watch Undercover Boss, which is a great show.
Yeah.
And that totally illustrates what Vera just said. The CEO or whoever goes undercover, as most people may know from this reality show, and experiences what the employees are either frustrated with. And I remember watching one recently, which actually had to do with the security system, and they wanted the salespeople to go up with the repair people so that they would understand that 360-degree view that Vera just mentioned. Those employees have to understand that to be able to get it. And what happens a lot of times is leaders focus on the procedural side of service, and let's be efficient, answer the phone on 3 rings, and give them what they think are the tools for delivering experience, and they don't realize the personal side and the behaviors and all the emotional sides that will contribute to that experience. And that means the ways that they are treated, again, as Vera said, which will cause the effect of how they treat guests, customers, clients, patients, whomever it might be. So it's really interesting when you really start getting into what does this customer experience concept strategy really mean. There's so many pieces to it, and yet it's so powerful and so simple when it's all pulled together.
I actually give some of those bosses credit because it seems like most of them don't know what's been happening in their companies.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's amazing. It's like every single CEO, manager, supervisor should do Undercover Boss in their environments.
Yeah,
totally different perspective.
Especially if the employees know that the college education of all their kids is going to be paid for at the end of it.
Right, or a new car, or absolutely, vacation of your dreams, absolutely.
So let's talk about digital, social media. What is the role of digital in improving the customer experience? For example, there's even rumbles now of messaging apps that are going to overtake social media. Snapchat, I was talking to this fellow Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari, the other day, talking about how Snapchat is going to get so involved more in business. How do you see the future sophistication, the influences of online comments, everything digital shaping up? Vera?
So it's absolutely growing and becoming bigger and bigger. And so I actually just read an article in the Wall Street Journal about messaging apps that there's about 2.5 billion registered users, and we're on track for 3.6 billion by 2018. So it's definitely going to be bigger and bigger. And you've got Facebook, it's really kind of doubling down on messaging. And there's a couple of, the article mentioned a couple of e-commerce companies already using messaging for customer service, Zulily being one of them. Mm-hmm. And so, definitely, digital online comments, messaging apps is growing. The one thing I would I would say that as companies start to use these alternate channels in order to engage with their customers, the one thing they need to do is just make sure it's a great experience. So technology for technology's sake is not the answer. And so, of course, you don't want to be seen as a dinosaur, but you really need to understand your customer, understand how they want to interact with you, and choose the right channels, and make sure those channels are delivering an excellent experience and there's a consistent experience. The other day I was on chat with a company, as a vacuum cleaner company, and I had to wait 2 or 3 minutes between responses. And you know that the agent is talking to 5, 6, 7 people maybe at once. And so I got an answer, and I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. I hung up turned off the chat, called, and got a different answer, got the right answer, and I realized the level of training that the phone rep received was so much higher. And so what did that company do? They basically taught me to use the highest cost channel instead of, they were trying to, of course, reduce their costs and give me alternates. And basically I got frustrated, and now every time I'm going to be calling. And so it didn't help by offering that chat channel.
That's interesting, Roberta. A lot of companies have two types of customers, if not more, obviously. Let's say younger, and we'll call all of us more seasoned, if you will. Not all of us, all of me, more seasoned. But there is a distinction on how they engage. Do you have to have multiple ways to make sure you're engaging with them properly?
Absolutely. Again, the trend has been going up that experiences become more meaningful when they're personal. And back to Vera's point, I just read about the Consumer Electronics Show that's going to take place in Las Vegas, one of the biggest consumer electronic shows of the year, where all the new everything is debuted. And what they said is really interesting, is we are evolving from that which is technically possible to that which is technologically meaningful. And I love that. I think that's such an incredible way of expressing what's going on with technology. What you just asked about all the different levels, we have to figure out what's going to be meaningful for all of our various audiences. That's not necessarily easy, but it's actually meaningful in terms of the business goals and business strategy, and the complexity as well as the deliverable.
Yeah, great points. All right, we're going to conclude this part of the video, and we'll ask everybody to watch the next video for the next points. Thanks.